Ladies and gentlemen, what is up, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be answering one of the most common questions that I get on the channel. Usually get this in the form of like a tweet or a live stream comment, and it's usually like, hey Seatin, I just pulled this champion as a 5-star. Is it any good? Like, how does it compare to some of the other champions? So in today's video, we're going to talk about all of the characters currently available in the 5-star hero crystal, because there's only a limited amount, only 24 champions, and then talking about, you know, who some of the best options are, what variety of characters can be used for, and also just generally like educating on you on what I perceive the value to be of various champions in the 5-star crystals, and what I'd be happy with and what I maybe wouldn't be so happy with. So again, as a bit of a disclaimer, a lot of this video is my opinion, but I like to think that most of the time I have a fairly solid grasp on the game. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be a pretty solid opinion for the most part, and we're going to be talking quite a bit about Labyrinth of Legends and Legends runs in this video, because that's one of the things that, especially 5-star champions, because they have this high ceiling of power, that they're very, very commonly used for. And that's what a lot of people, especially at endgame, are looking for in a 5-star champion, is they're either looking for somebody who can get them through Labyrinth of Legends, or somebody that can allow them to competitively go for a Legends title in one of the monthly event quests, or maybe something like the Batista's Challenge. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So first off, let's start by talking about the characters available. So there are currently 4 champions from every class. So the tech champions, you've got Star-Lord, you've got Iron Man, you've got Iron Patriot, and Hulkbuster. I think tech is probably arguably the weakest class. I think the only one good to get there is Star-Lord. Then you have Cosmic, you have Drax, you have Captain Marvel, you have Ronan, you have Superior Iron Man, you have Science, you've got Spider-Man, Rhino, Ant-Man, and Yellowjacket. You have Skill, you've got Moon Knight, Black Panther, Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye. Quite a strong class there. Mystic, again, a fairly decent class as well. You've got Iron Fist, Juggernaut, Magic, and Guillotine. And then finally you have Mutant, which is a little bit of midway. You got Storm, you have Magneto, you've got Cyclops, and you also have Colossus. Now, in terms of kind of where I rank these characters, we have 5 different tiers. So we have the God tier, we have the Labyrinth tier, so these are champions that are capable of doing Labyrinth of Legends, that we've seen throughout kind of various community posts, because people are always trying to go for Labyrinth with different champions, so I thought I'd kind of list the ones that I've seen successfully done and talk about how they work. Then we've got the Awesome Champions, so these are champions that maybe don't quite have enough to get you through Labyrinth of Legends, but have kind of a really solid use in endgame, whether it's as a really good Alliance War defender, as a great utility champion, or maybe as a champion that's going to get you through a Legends title. Then you have the good champions that I think are kind of in the middle. They're not complete trash, but they're not like amazing awesome either. They're kind of like, oh, okay, that's all right, we'll take that. And then finally you have your trash, the champions that you really don't want to see pop up, because these characters, in my opinion, just don't really have too much of a use in the game, and I just don't think they're too great, or, you know, there are better options that you could get in the crystal comparatively to them. So anyway, let's talk about the first one, which is God tier, the best champion you can get, hope for, from a 5-star hero crystal is Star-Lord. Even if you get, Star-Lord needs to be awakened to be good, but even getting him for the first time, 5-star awakening gems are becoming more common. So if you've initially got that Star-Lord, if you do get lucky enough to pull like a tech gem from various challenges that come up, stuff like the dimensional rifts that return as well, then you also do have the potential to awaken him. And if you awaken a 5-star Star-Lord, you win the game, because he's so incredibly powerful. Every hit up to 400 combo hits, his attack increases significantly, so yeah, he's just going to get you through everything. Amazing for Alliance Quest, Alliance War, going to get you through Labyrinth, a breeze. So yeah, Star-Lord is always the #1 option that you're hoping for in a 5-star hero crystal. Now next up we have the Labyrinth Champions. Now all of these champions, none of them obviously are quite as good as Star-Lord, and I think every champion in various matchups and fights, because in Labyrinth of Legends, I think even on the shortest path, there are like 19 fights that you got to deal with. Every champion does have a matchup where it's not super great, and we'll talk about the reasons why for that. So first up we have Storm. I think Storm is probably like the second best alternative to Star-Lord for Labyrinth of Legends. Really, really solid champion. I don't think she really has any disadvantages on a lot of the fights. The stun that she has, especially on her very hard-hitting special 2, is amazing. That's going to get you through a lot of the kind of annoying stuff on like Falcon and War Machine with their special 1 attacks, because you always want to try and push toward the special 2 to fully evade that. So yeah, Storm is just the GOAT if you haven't got Star-Lord. And then you have Drax. I think Drax is like, if you get a rank 4 Drax, bearing in mind for the Labyrinth of Legends champions, you'll want any of these characters as a 5-star, a rank 4, and you can get your first rank 4 5-star champion by 100% completing Act 4 to get the, what is it, the Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst. They're the biggest bottleneck for a lot of people there. But yeah, that's basically how you get your first rank 4 champion, along with doing a lot of Alliance quests to get the Tier 4 class Catalyst fragments as well. But having a rank 4 champion is going to prolong the enrage timer significantly in Labyrinth of Legends, providing that you at least have a synergy team that incorporates, I believe it's like Magneto and Cyclops, to get a little bit more attack for some of these champions, to bring you over a certain attack threshold, and that just really, really significantly increases the amount of time before the opponent enrages. So basically means that if you're a skilled player, you can get through Labyrinth of Legends without spending like a crazy amount of units. So that's what you kind of need as your fundamental for doing Labyrinth, is you need a 5-star rank 4 champion with an ass load of damage. But anyway, now that we've covered that, let's move on to the next one, which is Drax. So Drax, such a great champion, amazing damage output for pretty much every fight, providing you can bleed the opponent. So this is where he has a couple of problems on both Unstoppable Colossus or Colossus and/or Vision, depending on which path you choose to go on. So that's kind of Drax's downside. He does have a really weak matchup against one of the toughest opponents in Labyrinth, which is Unstoppable Colossus. So you need to make sure, if you are using Drax for Labyrinth, you need to be exceptionally good at intercepting. You need to like have that absolutely nailed if you want to really get the most out of Drax there. But he's definitely an option. Very good matchup for Maestro as well, because you don't have to worry about the regen. Like, Maestro gains like absolutely nothing when you're fighting with a cosmic champion, so Drax is really good for fighting Maestro as well. You're going to save potentially a lot of units on there. And then you have Moon Knight as well. I think Moon Knight is a pretty solid all-around champion, potentially good for like Alliance Quest, Alliance War as well, but also I've seen some people clear Labyrinth of Legends with him. Just a really solid amount of damage at certain points in the month, has the occasional stun as well on critical attacks during certain parts of his moon cycle. Yeah, just a really great champion overall, but also does rely on having the bleed as well. He kind of needs that to get like optimal damage. And then next up we have Black Panther. Black Panther, you need to have him awakened, and then the bleed is just insane. I've seen some very satisfying kills on stuff like Maestro with Black Panther. Just looks to be doing a crazy amount of damage. You also have the class advantage on your favorite Labyrinth of Legends training dummy, which is Red Hulk, so that's going to make that fight quite fun. But yeah, Black Panther, overall, he's just a pretty solid option for Labyrinth of Legends. Next up, we have Magic. Magic's special. Magic isn't really like a crazy damage dealing champion, but her special 2, having a really strong power drain and a power lock, is particularly valuable if you're very good at intercepting for War Machine, Magic, Falcon, and potentially Maestro as well, if you have a problem evading the special 1 there. So I think Magic potentially has some special use there. Also Unstoppable Colossus, you can stop him from gaining specials, stop him from gaining Unstoppable. So if you're really skilled at intercepting, I think Magic is a fairly decent option. Again, it's going to be a little bit slower than some of the more hard-hitting champions, but it certainly can work. It certainly can work in some scenarios. I've also seen Captain Marvel used. I think overall Captain Marvel for the majority of fights has significantly less damage output than a Drax, but she's still a viable option and will be a little bit better on fights like Colossus and Unstoppable Colossus, where you can't bleed the opponent, and overall as a character she has the advantage of being poison immune, which occasionally can come in handy. So I have seen a few Labyrinth of Legends clears done with Captain Marvel, so that's something interesting to bear in mind as well. And then finally, Iron Fist. Iron Fist is not, he's significantly better than he was in Labyrinth of Legends since they removed Dold, because that was one of the main reasons that Iron Fist wasn't really played too much in Labyrinth of Legends. It was because he was very flimsy, so he took a lot of damage on blocking, and now that that's been toned down, and also Dold has been removed, so he can crit like an insane amount, his regular amount. I think Iron Fist, he's not quite as good as some of the other characters, but he's going to have really good matchups on fights like, again, like Unstoppable Colossus, where maybe Drax and Black Panther have a disadvantage there, having the armor break and not having to rely on bleed. He's got a pretty decent matchup there against Maestro. I don't think Maestro does anything too bad against Mystic Champions, so that's fairly decent as well. And also I see a lot of people going for Legends runs with Iron Fist just because he's a very quick, fast-paced, bursty champion. So yeah, Iron Fist, I think he's a fairly decent option for Labyrinth and also Legends runs if you want to go for him. Now we move on to the awesome tier. So up first we have Spider-Man and Rhino. Not really too much to say about these both. They're just both exceptional Alliance War defenders. A massive pain in the ass always. If you can get either of these characters as a 5-star to rank 3, they're probably going to cause a lot of trouble on Alliance War defense. But Spider-Man needs to be awakened. Rhino doesn't need to be awakened, but it's very helpful to have him awakened. Then we have Yellowjacket. I was debating a little bit about Yellowjacket, putting him into the Labyrinth category. However, I cannot find like any 5-star Yellowjacket gameplay. I've heard a lot of good things about Yellowjacket, so he might be a potential option for Labyrinth. He might have sufficient damage output, the stun might be useful, but I'd like to see somebody do it. So, you know, if you are one of those people that maybe has a 5-star Yellowjacket, maybe you've made a push for Labyrinth, again, I haven't seen anything about it, I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, just hit me up, let me know if that's a viable strategy there. But Yellowjacket, potentially a great Alliance War defender on an unblockable Special 1. His Special 1's quite tricky to evade. And just a pretty solid, hard-hitting champion. He's got the stun, he's got the power sting. It's some useful stuff he has there. Very simple but effective. Then you also have Winter Soldier, significantly better than he used to be. Has the power drain, much more decent damage than he did pre-patch. So, I don't think there's really one area in particular where Winter Soldier excels, but he's potentially, like, not a bad option for some stuff, maybe in, like, Alliance Quest, maybe not so much in Alliance Quest, actually, but just a very fun champion to play. Occasionally, if there's, like, a power drain thing you need to worry about, then maybe you can bring out the Winter Soldier. I think he's a pretty awesome champion for that, and also very similar stuff like Hawkeye. Hawkeye is an MVP in Batista's challenge at the moment, so it's always nice to have these hard-hitting skilled champions that have power control mechanics that you can, you know, just get out of the shop to do some endgame challenges occasionally. Next up we have Guillotine. I think Guillotine is still pretty sick for Alliance War attack, especially with that heal reversal. Not quite as potent and powerful as she used to be. I would say the reason I haven't got Guillotine in a Labyrinth of Legends option is because a lot of her damage relies on having a lot of charges of souls and dealing with quick bursty fights quite quickly, and in Labyrinth of Legends, because she can't chip like a large percentage chunks off quite quickly, she's just not really getting the damage output there. She's losing all her souls and then she can't really do too much quickly, so I don't think overall she's a great option for Labyrinth of Legends, but it could be done. If you had units, it definitely could be done, I reckon. But yeah, overall, I think Guillotine is just a hard-hitting champion. She's got a little bit of regen when she's awakened as well, so a really good, like, Alliance Quest, Alliance War option. Then you also have Juggernaut. I think Juggernaut is a great Alliance War defender with Mystic Dispersion, same with Magic as well. They're just MVPs for that, so yeah, really, really do rate Juggernaut for Alliance War defense. And then finally, you have Cyclops, who I've seen a lot of people, usually like a few people, if you look on the Legends runs, a few people in the top 10, they usually use Cyclops for it. Got that really hard-hitting bursty Special 1, so I think that's a tactic that we see quite a bit in the Legends runs, is, you know, you kind of do that like a 10-15 combo, you get to the Special 1, you fire that off, and the opponent is dead, just because it hits so incredibly hard at rank 4 Cyclops. So I think Cyclops is a fairly awesome champion to have. He's very, very quick and bursty. I imagine actually you might be able to do Labyrinth with him as well. Might take a little bit longer though, but potentially he's got potential to be shifted in there, as well as Yellowjacket, I reckon. And then we have our good champions. So these are ones that I don't really rate too much as a 5-star. You got Superior Iron Man. If you've got him awakened, I guess that regen circumstantially can be a little bit useful, might be valuable to you for Alliance Quest. So yeah, he ain't too bad. He ain't too bad. He's lacking a bit of utility, a bit of damage output, but he has that regen there if needed. You have Ronan as well as a 5-star. So Ronan is one of those characters that Ronan's really only ever played when you can totally, like, abuse the crap out of, like, a power gain node so you can chain stun the enemy. And when you can't do that, he's just a little bit mediocre in comparison to some other champions like Hulk at the moment, which have like crazy damage, and also that stun on their special one. So yeah, I think Ronan's, he's okay. He's not like completely terrible. Circumstantially, he has his uses, but overall, I don't think there's many scenarios like in Alliance Quest, Alliance War, where I'd actually want to play Ronan. So yeah, I wouldn't bother with Ronan too much. He's good. He's kind of like, oh yeah, I'll take that, but I wouldn't be like super ecstatic about it. And then finally we have Magneto. Magneto, again, he's got that heal block. He has a damage cap as well if you awaken him. He's alright. He's alright. He's not too bad, but there's nothing super special about him. Nothing super great. He's not really going to get you through Labyrinth. Not going to get you Legends Run. So yeah, I wouldn't be too excited about Magneto, but there's worse to get. So these are all the trash tier champions. Now, I've got Iron Patriot and Iron Man up here. Again, I'm not really hyped on Superior Iron Man. I don't think, personally, he's too great, and I perceive Iron Patriot and Iron Man to be worse versions of Superior Iron Man. So, yeah, they're pretty trash, in my opinion, comparatively speaking. And then you also have Hulkbuster. I think Hulkbuster used to be a fairly decent Alliance War defender when willpower and healing scaled off modified health in Alliance War, but now that it scales off base health and you only get a little bit of healing instead of a crazy amount, I just don't think Hulkbuster is that great. He's very, very easy to fight as a champion that you play. He hits like a bit of a wet noodle, doesn't really have much use. So in my opinion, Hulkbuster is trash. Then you also have Ant-Man as well. I recently got a 5-star Ant-Man. I just don't see any use for him. His poison is just so weak, just has no utility going for him. As a defender, he's very, very easy to fight. I know kind of in some of the earlier tiers, if you do have an awakened Ant-Man, he can be a little bit tricky for some people, but I think just like looking at like a Spider-Man or a Rhino, those in 90% of scenario, well, 95% of scenarios, I'd say, are going to be significantly better defenders, like Spider-Man over Ant-Man any day. I just don't think there's any reason in the current state of the game, with some really, really strong evade champions and really, really strong champions that synergize well with Mystic Dispersion, that there's any reason to have like an Ant-Man in your Alliance War defense. So yeah, I don't really rate Ant-Man that much. I think there are much better characters to go for, and kind of same with Colossus as well. He's just a very, very tanky champion, but that doesn't really serve too much function. A lot of people are like, oh, you can use Colossus on a Thorns node, but he's still so incredibly easy to fight, and also you can bypass Thorns by using an Electra, whereas, you know, if you're using a Mordo, you can't bypass any of the Thorns damage. You have Mordo's power gain stuff to deal with, you know, his passive power gain and his specials, and you also have the threat of Mystic Dispersion. So Mordo on Thorns nodes, and you only have, I think it's like 4 or 5 of them scattered across the average Alliance War map. Usually, you know, you're going to have enough Mordos, and especially when a Mordo comes to the basic arena, I just don't think there's any reason to, like, rank up a Colossus. But again, that's just my opinion. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this overview of the 24 basic 5-star champions available. Hopefully, this guide provided you some insight into some of the various characters and what I perceive their uses to be in the game. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and have an absolutely fantastic day.